Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for Dogwifhat. Now, if you're new to the channel or just need a quick refresher, since our low in January, this is on the 4-hour chart, have a proposed 5-wave impulse to the upside. We came a little shy on targets. We usually aim for the 1.618 for our third in blue, but we came up shy at 1.382. Expectation of that would be a shy 5th wave as well. If we look at our indicators, our largest reading on the RSI was our third of our third, as well as the most volume within our third wave. We also got divergence between our third and our fifth within our third, and our third and our fifth in a larger trend. So everything makes sense that this is the impulse. And I also have a modified pitchfork, which is just a channel from the beginning of wave 1 off of wave 2 and the top of wave 1. It's just a channel. As soon as we start drifting outside that, probability shift that the move is done, which is why I have it labeled this way. Now I extend it out in time, usually for a wave 2. It's just a guideline, not a rule, but usually our wave 2 would have completed within this zone if this is a larger 1 and 2, between the 382 and the 618, right in this zone. So what we wanted to see was a nice ABC, and then we take off from there. You can see we're just drifting sideways, and what that indicates to me that this is not a wave 1 in a larger trend currently. It's just a bias based on those guidelines, and we're most likely going to get, when we get higher highs eventually, that this is more likely an ABC to the upside. Still looking for that huge move, but it's more likely a C wave than a third wave. Obviously that viewpoint can change. This is just a guideline, but this is why I would just switch to that point of view to begin with and just target a 1-to-1 in the future rather than the 1.618 based, and that would change if we get certain patterns in the future. Won't know that until that price action happens. So now we're going to focus on this area here. My primary is, I have a couple counts going on here. I'll show you my primary. It is the simplest. So let me get rid of this and this. All right, my primary is that we are working on our A wave. Let's go to the 4-hour to begin with. As a diagonal. Just based on the price action since last video. So we have a 3-wave move, ABC, for our wave 1, complex correction, WXY, for our wave 2. We have a 535 for our wave 3, ABC for our wave 4, and why this has become my primary is this wave right here off the top of this wave 4. This is a clear 5-wave move. It's an impulsive. It doesn't complete anything, any correction, so it has to be part of either a 5th wave here as a, and this would turn into a 5-wave pattern as either a diagonal as an ABC to complete our wave 5 in our diagonal, or I'll show you this in the other time frame. This becomes an ABC within a flat, which eventually we get a new low after that. But I'll show you that in a moment. This is the area I'm looking for to potentially open a long to the upside to play the B wave, the larger B wave. So one thing that kind of sucks with this, I'll show you that, is I took our extension of wave 1 off wave 2. Usually we'd like our third wave to be the shortest, or sorry, not the shortest, but shorter than wave 1, in which our wave 5 would be shorter than wave 3. So we kind of have a hard stop of where this diagonal becomes invalid. This one, the wave 3, came past the 1-to-1 extension of this wave 1. Now that happens many times in diagonals. It's disappointing because we can't have a hard stop. If wave 3 was shorter than wave 1, then we would take the length of wave 3 off of wave 4, and we would know that the invalidation would be invalid there at, say, 902. So if we come down and finish our C wave, we could get a really tight entry because our stop would be that close, right? Unfortunately, we can only work with what we get in the market. So this fifth wave in this ABC can get extended. We can get quite an overthrow, and this can still be a diagonal. And then we come up and start our B wave. Ideally, I'd like to see it pivot at the trend line here I drew from wave 1 and 3, 2 and 4, contract down to this area and just get a wick through. I'll be counting this, trying to get 5 waves out of this C wave. And if we can get that, then we can get a nice pivot low for our hard stop. But just keep in mind that this can get overthrow here and then reclaim, and off we go, right? So that's what I'm looking for. A diagonal for our wave A, and looking to play this wave B after. Now, important to note in this scenario that this would end up being a zigzag. So what we would be looking for, I won't be able to pull this exact, but say it's somewhere between 1.236 and 382 there, extension. We're going to zoom in, get on our pivots. We'll be looking for, we'll just put our 50 and the 618 on for now. So our one pivot is on, but wherever this wave A ends, we're not sure yet. We'll be looking for our B wave because this would end up being an A, B, C as a zigzag because we have 5 waves down. So after this move, to complete this, we'll be looking for an A, B, C, a 3-wave pattern, and then we'll be looking for 5 waves down for our C wave, which would be an impulse if this is valid because we can't get a double diagonal, right? It's got to be an impulse. So that's what I would be looking for in this scenario. So looking for this long very soon, and you can see why I changed that bias just over the last couple days here, because this is clearly an impulse and it can't be the end of something, right? It's not the end of a correction. So this most likely will be either an impulse to the downside to complete this C wave or a diagonal. Hard to tell what this is here. It looks most likely an ABC. So potentially we just make a diagonal here to complete our A wave. And the way I would look for this is once we get, say, our diagonal, if this happens, I would want to break above this previous 4th wave in that scenario. And then, so if we get this move off, I'd want to find support at the 4th wave in a nice ABC, and my long would be something like this. Wait for the ABC between the 50 and the 618 and look for that trade to the upside. Stop at that hard low between the 50 and the 618, right? But it'll be a nice like 3-to-1 plus depending how high we come, but it looks good. I'll show you my alternative. It's a very rare correction, so I'm more leaning towards the diagonal because it's basically the same. It just gets extended out a little bit. And that would be, we're in a WXY and we're going to get a triple zigzag. And what can happen here, this is still playing out as 5 waves, and this is where we would be expecting that B wave to come higher, but we just fail and come down. So we still have our ABC, ABC, right? But this is, in this scenario, this is actually part of a B wave within a correction. And what that would look like is there's our A wave. Initially, we have this to make our final wave as a diagonal, right? And then we take off for our B wave. But in this scenario, this is a 3-wave. This ends up being a 3-wave in both scenarios. And then as long as we stay within that B zone, which is the extension of this A wave, the 1.236 and 382, and then we get a 5-wave move up, which looks impulsive, right? And this becomes just an ABC flat. And then we get our other zigzag down to complete a WXYXZ. We just get a flat in between. So just something to keep in mind. If we fail, that is what my expectation will be, and I'll be looking for a long again. So be aware of both scenarios. I only risk 1% per trade. But either way, that would be the end of our larger AB if we ended up getting a triple zigzag, most likely, and then we'd be looking for all-time highs. And if we get the diagonal, that would just be our A wave. We'd be looking for a B wave only, not make new highs, and our C wave after, which I think is more probable. Just my point of view, but I'm open to both options. So that's what I'm looking for, guys, either a flat here or the diagonal to complete. And we're looking for this B wave to the upside. I want to get as close to the bottom as possible because I've mentioned to you many times, B waves can be very erratic. And if you're not, if you're trying to play the market too close with stops, you're going to get destroyed in B waves. Best to trade at the beginning of them or the end of them, not in the middle. A B wave or an X wave example is right here. Imagine you're in this zone, right? You're right in this zone. How are you going to trade that and be profitable? Very difficult. But if you see this 5-wave move down as a C wave, and you see this pullback right here, right? If we see this 5-wave move as an ABC, we'd wait for the break of the 4, like I mentioned. By the pullback, stop at the low. We know we're getting a correction. We'd get something like this, right? Probably take profit somewhere around there. Or if we see the WXY coming, we can take above this high, right? That's an example. But if you're in the middle of this, oh, we got an ABC, right? And you're just getting stopped out left, right, and center. So it's best to buy at the beginning and sell at the end of it, right? So anyways, that's it for Dogwifhat. I hope that was helpful. I'll be updating this one as well. Once again, on my primary, all I'm looking for is this off this B wave to make a 5-wave move as an impulse or a diagonal right here, waiting for the break, buying the pullback, stop at this low to play that B wave. All right, guys, that's it for Dogwifhat. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.